And later at 8:30, it's Arthur and Terry in Minder. Now here's Andrew Gardner.
Hello. In Thames News, deported mum wins her appeal after 16 years. But does it mean she'll come home?
Plus, a new cash boost to fight AIDS and the spy in the cab that can pinpoint a taxi.
And the rising pop stars who came from rag trade to riches. Deported mum, after 16 years, has she finally won? Fighting AIDS, government triples London's cash. The spy in the cab that can pinpoint your taxi. And from the rag trade to riches. Hello and good evening to you. A family who've been kept apart for the past 2 years by a Home Office deportation order are tonight celebrating what they hope is the final battle in their fight to be reunited. On the grounds of exceptionally compassionate circumstances, an independent adjudicator has overturned the ruling which expelled a Cypriot-born woman and her daughter while her 2 sons stayed in Britain. Aisha Halil and her husband were deported to Turkey in 1981. She returned to Britain 2 years later after her marriage broke up, but the Home Office ruled that she couldn't stay. Since then, the only contact she's had with her sons is by phone.
Everyone was very giggly in the Halil household today. Excitement and relief that Mum is almost home, and fear that the Home Office might take the exceptional step of appealing against the appeal decision. The only contact they've had with their mother and little sister in the last 2 years have been photographs, letters and phone calls. And that's how it was today. There's been massive support for Aisha and her family, and their evidence impressed the adjudicator, who overturned the Home Office deportation order on the grounds of the exceptional circumstances of her case. His ruling that she can come home is more than Aisha can take in.
I feel very happy, absolutely delighted. I don't know, I can't find the words for it. It did come a complete surprise because at the end, I don't know, I lose all my hope. I thought, no, I'm not going to come in. But when I heard the news, it was really surprising.
The Home Office Minister wasn't available for interview today, but a year ago he was adamant.
I would have thought that the general public will acknowledge that this case, of all cases, is one where the law ought to be enforced. It isn't often that you get a woman who quite blatantly disregards immigration control, defies the law, and returns to this country in breach of a deportation order.
Those words still ring in the family's ears, even though that order's now been overturned.
Well, I feel that justice has been done at last, but I'm just hoping that the Home Office will not put any more obstacles in our way.
It's been giving me worry and getting me upset all the time and bad-tempered sometimes. Just nervous.
What about when she comes back?
No, different.
Have you got anything tucked away that you're going to do?
Just a big hug.
And he'd better start practicing now, because late this afternoon, the Home Office said they would urgently reconsider the case in the light of the adjudication. So it looks as though in a few weeks' time, Aisha will come home to the biggest party Brockley's ever seen. Tricia Ingram's Thames News.
Bye.
The Samaritans have launched a new campaign aimed at stopping the rise in the number of young people committing suicide. The figure has risen by nearly a quarter over the last decade, and the problem's worst in London. School children in the capital are now helping the Samaritans to make a video aimed at guiding young people through the crises they face.
Why don't you go to school? Because I have to help here. And why do I have to go to school? Well, you want to learn, don't you? You want to get a good job. Yeah, well, Dad learned, but he hasn't got a job yet. Look, Dad's trying. Yeah, but there's Lee lying up there. Lee, get up! I'm coming!
Dramatic stuff designed to hold the interest of young people, to help them deal with some of the problems they face that might lead them to despair or even suicide, and also to highlight the role of the Samaritans as one source of help. Over the last 10 years, suicide among young people is up by 25%. Reasons are difficult to pinpoint, but the Samaritans believe it's down to increasing pressures.
Expectations in the school to achieve, to be successful, to go out and get a job in a very difficult job market, to be successful with a group of friends, to be doing things that are okay, to be seen to be doing the right things, perhaps being pushed a little bit further than they might ideally like to. Experimenting with different sorts of behaviour and different sorts of things is all going to add to the stress and difficulties that they face. So really it's a culmination of pressure, of expectation that adds up to the point sometimes, sadly, that they feel as though they just can't go on any longer.
A group of London school children acted the role of young people under stress.
I had to look after younger brothers and sisters because my mum was having a nervous breakdown and my dad was quite aggressive and used to beat me up, things like that, so it was quite dramatic.
Did you learn anything from taking part in this film?
Yes, I learned more about the Samaritans and what they did because before I thought that they were a religious group.
I didn't really understand what the Samaritans did or who they were, but after doing the film you understand who they are and what they do and how they can help you.
I learnt that the Samaritans existed because I'd never heard of them before.
Are you lonesome?
The video and the pack that goes with it is being made widely available to organisations dealing with young people. Price £30 from the Samaritans. Paul Arsman, Thames News.
Yeah, about 6.
It looks tonight as if officials of the print union Sogat 82 have decided to call off their picketing of the Wapping print plant. They've been told by their legal advisers that the demonstrations could bring severe financial and legal problems. Ken Andrew
News
reports.
International's moves to instigate contempt of court proceedings follow violent scenes outside the plant 10 days ago. Sogat face a heavy fine and the seizure of their assets. And the union's national membership has voted unanimously to make avoidance of sequestration a top priority. Well, the national executive meeting is still going on here at Sogat headquarters, and no official statement is expected for some time yet, but a definite decision has been taken to call off mass demonstrations at the Wapping plant. One or two of the London executive members are very angry at that decision. They now face the difficult task of going back to their members and breaking the news to them. The other main print union involved, the NGA, seems likely to follow the Sogat line, and with no official support for demonstrations at Wapping, an end to this long and acrimonious dispute now seems in sight. This is Ken Andrew, live at Sogat headquarters for Thames News.
A babysitter who broke the skull of a 5-month-old girl has walked free from the Old Bailey. Mark MacDonald, who's 19, admitted manslaughter after the jury failed to agree on a murder charge. He was given 2 years probation. He said he dropped the child on her head while playing with her. MacDonald had been babysitting for the woman he lived with at New Addington. The judge, Sir James Miskin, said MacDonald was grossly negligent, but his remorse was intense and genuine.